Now this may look way too much like work, and frankly it is, and especially so in these conditions like this. But these conditions are exactly the type of conditions where I like to try this technique, and that is getting extremely erratic with either crankbaits or jerkbaits, possibly soft plastics. You got sunny, high sky conditions and very little wind. You want to get down and make contact with structure. I've had the most success in weeds. And you want to get in, choose a lure that's going to kind of touch the top of that actual structure, because you want to get in, you want to be extremely erratic with the bait presentation, but you also want to be making contact with the vegetation. And because you're jerking so hard, a lot of times your casts are not ruined. You'll actually break the weed and pop through with crankbaits or jerkbaits in doing this technique. And essentially what you want to do is just choose baits for the water depth and structure depth that you're going to be in. Again, that top 2 feet is what you want to target. Crankbaits work extremely well because you can be very violent with them, side to side action, but also you can actually control the depth. When you get to know a crankbait real well, for instance a deeper diving crankbait like this one here, when you twitch that bait, you can actually drive it down with a certain cadence and make it run deeper, but also you can get a little more violent and learn that lure to where you can make it travel up higher actually too, so you can literally control the baits. That's why crankbaits probably work the best overall. But essentially it's just picking a lure that you can control the depth and actually make contact with that structure and rip through. And some of the things, of course, besides the crankbait are these soft plastic jig style bodies and something like a jerkbait like this. Anything very erratic, again, get in there, get their attention, rip things up a little bit. And a lot of times you'll get strikes that way in tough conditions.
Working through another half a day of flat calm weather isn't ideal, but with a pattern beginning to set itself into place, finally Pete, Rusty, and Chris are able to call up a muskie off a sandy weed edge.
Oh, there, fish. There you go. Good job, Sweet. All right, man. Oh, yeah.
Shattering the hold these still conditions had over at least one of these big predatory fish.
It's not a bad fish, Pete, and it's not a monster.
Chris was getting the net. There's no such thing as a bad fish there, Sweeto.
There you go.
All right, you ready to go? Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, he is lassoed.
I got him good there, Peter.
I tell you about that bait, Sweet.
You know, we saw those fish laying in the sand, and I just kept banging and banging and banging that crankbait into the dirt, and he took it.
There's something about that when you got no wind, and it's like that. If you can really get super erratic and make contact, oh boy.
When I felt the strike, I really belted him, Pete.
What I've got in my hand right here is a hook cutter, a Nipex hook cutters, and it's absolutely critical in order to perform catch and release properly with muskies. Number one, just to get the hooks out that are hooked in bad places, maybe near the eyes, maybe near the gills.
There you go.
But also sometimes that fish's head is literally pinned up in the air because of the way everything's hooked. There's still a hook in this fish that I need to get out, but what I did is just cut it out so she could get her head back down in the water where it belongs and it can breathe. There it is. This is the piece of hook that I just got out, and you can see what I did is actually cut that hook eye and left that hook in the fish for now, but what I wanted to do is get that fish's head back in the water first. Cutters are absolutely critical for proper catch and release for muskies.
There she is.
Nice one.
Dandy fish.
She was a scrapper, that one.
That thing hit.
It hit like a freight train.
You were twitching hard, like we said, banging that sand, banging the
bang,
weeds.
bang, bang. And you know, it's interesting how the fish are in a neutral mood today, but pounding that crankbait into the sand got this fish to just unload on it.
Yeah. All right, man, you better get her back. Nice job.
You know, it's very important after the fight that you help them, because they build up lactic acid in their muscles from fighting so hard. And if you just work them nice and slow, that helps exercise their muscles and get that lactic acid to move on through. And then they take off nice and slow.
Real deal, real fishing information from real fishing experts. Presented by Amsoil.
One of the cool things about being on the Mercury Pro staff is a lot of times I get to see engines well before they're put out to the public. And this last summer I was lucky enough to run one of the new Mercury 4-stroke 150 horse engines. Now I'm down here in Fond du Lac. I'm with my good friend and one of the top dogs at Mercury, Steve Miller, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about this engine and what makes it so special.
Well, Keith, we're glad to have you here. This is the new 150 horse 4-stroke from Mercury Marine. It's an entirely new engine from the ground up, and what's really cool about it is it's not only the highest displacement 150, it's also the lightest weight 150.
Okay, I understand lightweight, but what does displacement mean?
Well, displacement is really how big the engine is, how large is your engine, and it's important because bigger displacement means the boat's going to plane faster. It's going to carry a heavily loaded boat with all the gear like guys like you like to carry across the water.
Okay.
It's going to make the boat go faster.
Okay.
So displacement's kind of important that way.
What I couldn't believe about this engine when I first saw it was it's just literally small. It looks little for 150 horse, and that's got to be great for those boats that are in that 18 to 20 foot range like we like to run.
It's perfect for those boats. It's a nice low profile engine. It's easy to fish over and around, so that's really cool. And the fact that it's the lightest weight engine, I mean, this is not just a little bit lighter than the competition. It's over 20 pounds lighter, and it's actually getting pretty close to the weight of a 2-stroke.
So it's going to have the performance of a 4-stroke. It's got that big displacement for good hole shot and good top end performance. I tell you what, this is an engine for everybody to look for, and I'm looking forward to running it even more next year.